What's up, guys? This is Doug Lagan with Built by Fair Podcast. On this episode, we have my friend Andre coming back for a second attempt on the show. We'll be talking about deconstruction, his faith, baptism, and really just the foundations of Christian walk and things to look out for as you grow in your faith. Check it out. Enjoy. UT playing like college volleyball is
Volleyball is
it's
fun.
intense.
Women's volleyball in particular, it's actually extremely competitive
Agreed.
and it's fun to watch.
100%.
So, and I called. They had a game over like at Site Ranch, just like a neutral site game, like these 3A schools, small school, but they had it packed out, bro.
Dang.
And I took my daughter with me.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it was just, bro, that game. It went all 5 matches. Like it went all the way up to the final. So
So is volleyball? I don't know the rules for volleyball. Is it like tennis or is it different? I always
I
feel
don't know
like
the rule
it's
for
similar.
tennis
I don't know the rules for tennis.
But-
Really, I kind of get it. But do you know the rules for volleyball?
to an extent.
Okay.
I'm learning it as I'm calling it. So I know that they go what, first person to 25 the first 4 matches, and then that fifth and final match it goes to 15 only.
Okay.
I found that out this
Nah,
last
that's
game.
not like tennis.
Yeah,
It's not like tennis. Whole different sport.
whole different sport.
Someone tell us in the comments.
I wanted to play tennis at Ridge, but coach was like, nah. So
Oh dang! Could you imagine us playing tennis? We needed to.
we should have had volleyball
We
for
really
men.
should. Volleyball or tennis.
It's a sport I think on the West Coast, like in California. I think in high school, men can play volleyball.
See, that's what we need.
That's
We need to explore different things.
we need our options to be widened behind basketball, football, and track. Like there needs to be other sports in place.
I wonder how it would be if gymnastics was a high school sport. That'd be weird.
That'd be crazy.
I've never thought about that.
But do you think it would devalue it because it's so expensive to do and it takes so much?
It would. It would. I don't know if it would devalue it. I guess
from a business standpoint.
it would probably lessen the. That's bad to say. Lessen the quality of the gymnastics. Because I will tell you, gymnastics on that club level,
It's crazy.
they're detailed.
Listen,
detailed.
it's insane. It's competitive.
I know. And
But-
we just had a nice little squirrel moment.
We did.
Okay, so back to you. What you been on other than that? I know you did your broadcasting.
Man, it's been heavy on the broadcasting, bro. I'm really trying to perfect my craft. I'm really, for the first time in my life, I everybody has seen me over the years dabble and go back and forth in it. Like for
Right.
the first time, I'm really like
Come on, push it.
committed to it, like for real, for real.
Got it.
So I'm trying to really get over that next hump to where I can take what I'm doing and get to a bigger network, bigger platform.
I like it. Okay. Who have you interviewed recently that you've kind of liked?
I really enjoyed. So I called the right before playoffs started. I called the Nimitz versus the Caney football game,
Okay.
and that was actually a rivalry for them.
Nice.
And not to say anything negative about each team, man, but it was high intense. Nimitz coach, he was a lot more relaxed and friendly, but the Duquesne coach, they was just more like they all had Beats headphones on. They were just like ready.
They was
They were
ready to
super
go.
aggressive.
Come on.
And I was like, "Hey, coach, can I interview you?" And he was just like, "Yeah." It's like, all right, so, but it was cool, man. It was a cool experience, man. They were very aggressive in their approach, but you can tell like it's cool to like talk to a coach
Right.
before the game and then watch them play, and you can see the team. Like you can tell how the team has the coach's identity.
That's what I was. That's interesting about to say that because it kind of trickles down.
Yeah.
It trickles down. Yes, 100%.
Like coaches will like try to like downplay, like, oh yeah, I'm just, we're just focused on this opponent next week. But then you can tell as the coach talking, like, okay, I would run through a wall for this coach.
Exactly.
You can get that energy just like that. And then as you watch them play on the sideline, as you watch the coaches in the booth next to you, you can just tell everybody has that coach's identity.
Because I told you I ran into Coach Patton and I ran into Coach T-Bot. They made me think a little bit about like, dang, coaching and like what really goes into it.
Yeah, man.
But now that I'm older, I can kind of like flip the script. I've thought about coaching before in the past too.
Right.
But I'm like, hey, imagine being a man leading this group of guys getting ready to go to war, pretty
Bro,
much. That's really what it is.
Bruh.
Like you, as a coach, a head football coach,
It takes
high
a-
school is
takes
like
a-
that too. But imagine college, NFL, hey, you grown man, I couldn't do that.
I couldn't do that. I'm not gonna lie, it's not
But,
for me.
but man, you got to be elite,
You got to be
and you got to put that cape on
Yeah.
and get ready to go.
to lead, like, cause even when I'm on the field, man, and I'm like walking around, I like when I go before the pregame, I'll go and I'll walk around on the field, just get a feel of the players, the coaches, and you can just feel the, I don't want to say testosterone, but you
Testosterone.
can feel
Yeah.
like the energy of each coach.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, man, to be a head coach leading other men that probably want to be a head coach or maybe even think they can be already. And then you got to lead these young men who's in today's world, egos are crazy because of
Yep.
social media.
Yep.
So to try to lead that and box all that and contain that, man, you got to be a different breed, bro.
I agree. I agree.
So
And that's why big shout out to like, you know, men of God who take that road because it's a slippery slope in all ways.
leadership is, oof,
Leadership, because you got to lead by example,
yeah,
and we in this age where we talked about this before in the past. You got one side of it. What is a man? It could be this domineering, kind of
mm,
toxic trait type man where it's just like brute force.
right.
And you got this overly gentle man that's passive and not really there. But I think a man of God is like this.
You wouldn't try to be in the middle.
Yeah,
You wouldn't try
it's
to be
just
in the
like
middle,
this. You just know when to be graceful, know
man.
when to be aggressive,
Right.
and that's what I hope that we can give to the next generation. Coaches could do that.
That's my goal as a man, man. It's ultimately as a man, a father, a husband,
Yep.
is to, like you said, not be too passive, but don't have to be overly aggressive, but learn how to balance it and be in the middle, right? Like know how to have that like, and man, it's crazy that you brought that up. I've been thinking about it a lot, like how to have that initial meekness, gentleness,
Yes.
at the same time. Don't mean you're a punk,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
That's basically what it is. That don't mean that you're a punk or you're intimidated by anybody, but you can still be meek and gentle, but still be a man. So it's, yeah,
I be laughing because I know that feeling you be having a little. This is in the back of your head, like you think you're a punk because of this or that. Like, nah, that's not it.
bruh.
You just gotta be gentle.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That does not mean you don't correct or something like that. But okay, so we got some agenda on the table for today. We got some
right,
topics
right,
we get into. We're gonna do hopefully a different type of thing today.
right, right.
Andre just got baptized
I did.
recently,
I did.
3 weeks ago. What weeks?
The October 13th,
October
about a month
13th.
ago.
Nice. You gonna just plug that in your brain. And I
Yeah,
remember you told me this is like a rededication. You know, you've been a believer, but I guess you could speak to that.
yeah. I've been a believer for, of course, I grew up in the church. I been a believer from what I saw, but I started believing on my own once I got like 14, 15, that age range. But yeah, man, the me getting baptized again was just more so me like giving the physical rededication
Yeah.
to God, right? Because I've been baptized before,
Right.
but it was just more so me saying, okay, like, all right, I'm gonna redo this, but I'm for real about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's more than just saying it. When it comes to your walk, when it comes to Christ, when it comes to something that's serious like that, you want to try to have as much something you can feel because
Mm.
faith is very, it's an emotional thing, something you see, right? And we can't physically touch God. So if I can have something physical or like something that I can remember that I can be in tune with, that can that I can say, okay, this is when I rededicated myself.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do I remember it, but I have a video, I've seen it, I got
Got it.
pictures of it,
Got it.
I got something that physically reminds me of it,
Right.
rather than always trying to dig deep emotionally, because some days you're not going to be there emotionally.
Right. hundred
You're not going
percent.
to be there. You're not going to be, in tune all the time. So that's something that I wanted for me, for myself,
Mm-hmm.
for my walk, as I get further on this intimate journey with God, something that
Question.
I've never had before.
What's some like? I felt like I had this. What are some like big topic questions that pops up in your brain, like as you start this venture for yourself,
Like for God, just in general.
just in general. I mean, in the topic of God and faith.
Man,
Get
the more I get in tune with my passion, at least I say for me lately, I've had the question of, what's my purpose? Like, what's the purpose that God has legit just for me? Like, besides, I know I have, we all have talents.
right.
James is amazing with videography. You're amazing with, preaching and also, working out and physical therapy and stuff like that. I'm getting good with broadcasting and writing, but it's like, okay, I want to get in tune with my spiritual gift.
Yeah.
I want to get in
Yeah.
tune with the gift that he was like, okay, this is what I created you for.
Gotcha.
Gift. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
feel like I'm starting to get there, I really do, but I want to be 100% confident in that gift.
Got you.
So that's like been like the biggest question for me and thing that I've been exploring lately,
Hmm.
to be honest.
That's so interesting because you use the term purpose.
Yeah.
Something that it's been in the back of my head recently too. Is the same thing we had a conversation on when we were doing another episode with
Mm.
another friend on purpose and intention. So like if God is a glorious God, He created all this stuff,
Right.
everything He has in creation for His glory,
Right.
including you
Right.
for His glory. So if He created myself, He created me, He created you for His glory. So then that our purpose is to glorify God.
Right.
The way in which He chooses to use us is the unique thing, but the purpose and intention for us to
Hmm.
be used is to glorify Him.
Right.
So, okay, so this kind of segues into this deconstruction, this topic, and how it segues because talking about like pastors and that role and that gift of pastoring or the gift of this that or whatever it may be. We have our faith, we have our salvation. And you
Hmm.
just got baptized, and then somehow, some way, years down the line, it could feel like we've accumulated a whole bunch of stuff around Jesus
Right.
instead of just Jesus.
Except just Jesus. Yeah.
So you kind of get what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
talked a little bit about that before, deconstruction.
I do.
What are your thoughts?
Man, it's and like you said, we talked about it before. It's an interesting topic, man, because you start off in church, you start off in your relationship with God. It's all about Jesus, like you said. But as you get involved in the church and get involved in different things, it becomes so much more than that.
Right.
And the main thing can get lost so easy as you start to focus on, well, depending on what church you're at or
Right.
what
Yes.
community you're in or
Yep.
what their need is or what, things of that nature, your relationship with God can easily get put on the back burner.
So, and then I can say this. You can say this. I go to Fairfield Baptist Church.
Hmm.
Technically, it's a Baptist church.
Okay.
Uh, do you mind saying what church you
I
go
go
to?
to Time of Celebration Ministries. It's a non-denominational church.
So off that right
Hmm.
there, it's gonna be probably a different way of like our sermon is gonna look different.
Look
The
very
way
different.
our minister or service is gonna look different. The music's gonna be different,
Right.
and the interaction with the people is gonna be different.
A
It's
lot
like
different.
you know what I'm saying. So it's
Yeah.
like dang, same Jesus, but it looks a little bit different. Uh, how have you been involved in another ministry in the past that looks different than the one you in now?
Oh, absolutely. I used to go to I used to go to St. John Baptist downtown.
Really? I never heard
Yeah,
that before.
yeah. So
Okay.
when we used to live downtown for like a 2, 3 year span. Me and my mom went to St. John Baptist Church, and it was very traditional. It was very, 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 very traditional. I grew up mostly in Baptist. It's crazy because I grew up mostly in Baptist churches.
Yep.
I grew up mostly in the churches with the big hats and the strong perfume and the guys. Everybody wears suits, and you couldn't wear nothing but a suit or a dress and them big hats
Ooh, hey,
and
they look at you crazy.
crazy, man. Like church, just the religion of it. It was bigger than you're gonna focus on that than the word,
Right,
right? And
right.
being, of course, being a kid, you're like, ugh, I couldn't wait to get home and take a shower and get all that off of me, right? So it's crazy because I grew up Baptist, but as I grew in my own relationship with God, I drove closer to non-denominational,
Mm.
to where it's not, at least my church, it's not so heavy as in, I don't want, it's not so heavy as in, the little things that we grew up thinking that it was so heavy in, if that makes sense, as far as the
Mm-hmm.
hats and the dresses and the
Yep,
suits
yep.
and the perfume and the strong cologne and stuff like that. We're in a beautiful age right now where our generation is starting to really push away religion and focus more on Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Our generation.
Yep.
The older generation, they're holding on to that. They're like, y'all look a little crazy.
Exactly.
So it's kind of it's a good and bad thing, but it's a good thing because people can, at least for us, our sake, us and younger, you know, everybody's able to focus on their relationship with God and not worry about how you look and not worry about what you wear and
Should.
and stuff
Right.
like that. Because believe it or not, to an extent, I think I can say comfortably and confidently, God is not worried about that either. He's
Mm-hmm.
more worried about your heart and what you do in your spare time and stuff like that. So, but because of over the years of what we've been taught religious wise, it's, you have to look like this, you have to dress like this, you have to, be at church at 7 a.m. You gotta,
Yeah, leave at 2.
leave at 2. Like there's just certain things that has to happen before we even talk about serving God or your relationship with God.
You ever listen to Lecrae?
Yeah. Oh
Church
yeah.
clothes.
Of course.
Church
First
church clothes one, two, three,
yeah.
four. And the most recent one, I think he about to possibly
He's
get.
coming out with another one.
Well, I think Church Clothes 4. He nominated for a Grammy
Yep.
for the most recent one. He actually had, what is the name of his I think his song is actually called Deconstruction.
Hmm.
Go listen to that song. That
Yeah.
was probably the best, probably the most gripping song I've ever listened to.
Yeah.
It's Deconstruction. I just remember it now. Deconstruction by Lecrae. I haven't heard a song that actually like, man, I felt that. I felt like I experienced it.
Yeah.
Now my experience with deconstruction, going and becoming in my faith around 19 years old, crazy salvation story, right? I get involved in ministry and stuff like that. Long story short, find myself into Fairfield Baptist Church, and I'm around this church that's predominantly Caucasian, which is totally fine.
Right, right.
But I started to notice a specific culture that was being almost cultivated within the church. And if it didn't fit quite like that culture, then it was almost like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like you
Right.
kind of, it was a little odd. And I remember Vodi Bakum came up to the church and he preached, and I wanted to be just like Vodi after. I don't know if you know who Vodi Bakum
I
is.
don't. That's my first time hearing his name.
Vodi Bakum is a apologetic preacher. He's a theologian. Bro is sharp. He's a brother. And he came up there with a suit and stuff like that. I'm like, I want to be just like him. But then it became, for me, this is my issue. I'm putting him in a position he shouldn't be in.
Put him on the pedestal.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So here I had to go deconstruct that down the line and break that down. But I started to put that in as like, hey, I need to be like this. If I'm gonna be a man of God, I should walk like this. I should dress like this. And that's not how I dress.
You're right.
It didn't fit the mold with me.
It didn't fit you.
And I was trying to for so long. And I'm listening to this and I'm reading the scripture, and it was just all types of stuff.
Do you think that when people first get saved or first come to Christ, or really first find them a church, I'll put it that way, that they start to put certain things on the pedestal so they can have something to fall like not
Yes.
It's like it has something to chase. It's almost like, you first join church, it's like, okay, of course you join church for God, right? But like I said, you need that physical.
Yes.
So you pick a pastor or you pick a deacon, you pick somebody and you say, okay, I'm gonna be like that.
Yep.
And then and then because you're a babe, you don't really fully understand what all that entails. And then you also don't really fully understand what your purpose is that God has for you. So you're putting on someone else's identity 100%. And it's not even your identity. Like yeah.
We talked, he asked me earlier off camera. He's like, I forgot exactly what you said, but like, why do we do that? Why do we put these people? Why we put people?
Why do we put people on the pedestal?
And it's just like Moses and the Israelites. Moses coming down from getting the 10 Commandments, and he just got the commandments. God is like, hey, tell the people to obey me. They are my people, and they are already breaking all the commandments, having this golden calf,
right,
and so forth, right?
Right.
Our hearts, the heart of man, is this thing we can't even see. We can't even see our own hearts. It holds on to something, and we have to.
Yeah.
And the thing is, God is saying, hey, hold on to me, which you can't see.
Right.
But we're so tempted to hold on to things that we do see.
Right. We want something that
we want something
see.
That we can see.
We gotta have something physical.
Exactly. So, it wasn't until I think the Lord just put a huge weight on my heart, which was Romans, the whole book. And I've learned this, that God has an endless amount of time.
Right.
I was looking at this morning. Galatians talks about the fruit of the Spirit. Love, let's see if I can get them all. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, faithfulness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. Patience is that one that I think we forget the most of.
Right.
Because God has all day. Like it doesn't. If I want to be stubborn, I realized like God could wait until I'm 45 to make a move.
He does it
He
all the time.
could.
He does it
He
all the
could.
time. Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing. It took time for him in my personal life to start to weed away all these things that I felt like I need in order to get close to Jesus.
Right.
What did I need? I need the word. I need him.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily need these other things. Now it's good to have these other things. I still feel,
Right.
you know. Um, hmm. What has been like some things that the Lord has placed in your heart today to hold on to as a concrete foundation?
Hmm. Things that he's placed on my heart as a concrete foundation. Um, of course, the word. I've been more adamant about reading than I ever have been.
Hmm.
As far as when it comes to like I said, I've been really focused on my intimacy with God. So I'm doing a lot more reading than I've ever done.
Hmm.
Right? I've never big on reading. Reading the word at least. I'll
Right,
read, but I
right.
would not read the word. Right?
Gotcha.
Read
Yeah, yeah.
everything but the word.
Hmm.
Had everybody word, not my own word. Like it was crazy. So, the more that I've been really this. I just turned 31 this past Friday.
Happy birthday. This
Appreciate it.
wait,
Yeah.
time out.
Yes,
This past Friday?
that's why I was yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
even
yeah.
know. Happy
Appreciate it.
birthday, Andre.
Appreciate it, bro.
Dang,
So
31.
I know I'm getting old, man. So the more I pursue this thing called manhood and what it looks like for me, I have it's starting to put more intimate time into things that I know can help me get to where God wants me to be.
That's good.
So that's where I've been doing a lot more reading, doing a lot more insightful things on my own time, because I grew up trusting my mom, which I still can, but I'm trying to be my own man, so I
Hmm.
can't trust everybody else's idea or picture of what God is. I have
Right.
to come up with my own. I have to have my own identity and my own, center of what He is for me and my household and family and stuff like that. So just to answer your question, simply reading and just diving in more
Yeah.
and taking more time and
Yeah.
studying more. One of the things I've been seeing a lot more in my church and just in church in general is if we circle back to the pedestal thing, it's just people getting hurt.
Hmm.
And it bothers me to see, it hurts me, not bother me in a bad way, but it hurts my feelings to see other people get hurt.
Yeah.
And especially when they put other people on a pedestal. It's like, it's so, like you talked about earlier, bro. It's, you join a church, you start to serve, and you join different ministries, go through the whole, whatever. Every church has their own process to however you can start joining and serving. But everybody gets so caught up in who the pastor is, how the pastor is, and you get so caught up in what they're saying, and we forget that they're human,
Yep.
that they can make mistakes,
Yep.
they can have bad days, may not they may not want to counsel 30 people today,
Hmm.
right? They may not, they got their own things going on too, right? They're called to do a certain job, but at the same time they're human.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think we as the congregation, as God's people, we forget that. And we forget that the whole purpose of us being at church is for God, not the pastor.
And I think to double down on what you just said there, part of the reason why I feel like we do that is because a lot of us may not understand how we become saved to begin with. Are we
Yeah.
saved because we're good?
Ooh,
No,
nah.
we're saved because of Christ.
Yeah.
So this person preaching on the stage is not saved because he's better than me.
Right.
He's not on the stage because he's better. No, he's there because God placed him there.
Hmm.
I know 2020, I felt like is where my church, Fairfield Baptist, changed completely. We went through a pastoral change.
Hmm.
In the middle of that year, we voted in Pastor Darren Atkinson, who's there, lead pastor now,
Hmm.
and it was final, and then COVID hit.
Okay. Oh.
It was wild. But when I tell you, trickle down effect, we had some conversations. I talked to past, uh, um, what's his name, Connor. He's going on to Arizona at the time now, for right now. But just seeing how the church really did change, I felt like
Hmm.
whenever he stepped in, Pastor Darren at my church, and I felt like it became a sense of vulnerability.
Hmm.
And that's the big thing. This is a man. not being put on the pedestal. Like I'm shouting him out, giving him honor for where honor is due,
Mm-hmm.
not in a sense of me thinking he's all good or something like that,
Right.
but being able to hold that role
Mm-hmm.
in a way in which his vulnerability is poured out in the way he preaches.
Right.
So on the other end of it too, we can have a thing where the congregation could put this person up, but at the same time, it's the responsibility of the pastor to ensure that he's not being lifted up.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how is the person on the stage handling that role?
Right.
How is the person on the stage handling the position and treating the word with reverence? Like, you can ask James and them. Like, I sat down, like, hey, bro, this is for real. Like, we're talking about the word of God.
Hmm.
Like, if I don't want to use this incorrectly because it could hurt people.
Yeah.
There was times in my past where I felt like I've hurt people,
Right.
and I was eager to talk. Now I'm just like, hey, bro, I really ain't trying to say nothing. But it just kind of doors open up.
Just get
You know what I'm saying?
this wisdom just kicks in after a
Shoot,
while.
God is good.
Got to get wise after a while. Now I understand what you're saying.
And I think that was an interesting thought because at the same time, I do want to hold people. You got to hold people responsible at the
Mm-hmm.
same time.
Right.
What does that kind of trigger in your brain to think about?
Man, when it comes to just that, like you said, that vulnerability, that vulnerability opens up that relatability between the pastor and his congregation, and so it helps not. It's the whole purpose of it is to help not put that person on a pedestal, but unfortunately, we are human, we are flawed. People still do it anyway. The point you made about we kind of forget or lose track of why we got saved or how we got saved in the first place. I think because of social media, because of the media
Yeah,
age, we tie our salvation to a person,
yeah,
or we tie. My pastor Jerry, he said it. He said it the other day. He said it a while back. We just you know, we tie God's voice to a particular person,
yeah.
and and which is initially whatever God uses to save you, whatever He uses. But we also, it's our responsibility to take that next step
Yep.
to build that relationship with Him,
Hmm.
right? You don't want to hang on to, well, let's say an ex could have got you at a church and then y'all broke up.
Right.
What? Okay, now you still have to pursue that relationship with God. You can't hold on
Exactly.
to,
Yep.
you hold on to that, or let's say you saw a clip on Instagram of Michael Todd. I remember I used to listen to Michael Todd heavy,
Yep.
I think he's probably one of the most relatable people for our generation, despite everything's everything. But
Communicator,
he's
elite,
probably one of the
elite.
better. Besides, I feel like my pastor is a really good communicator. Besides him, I think Mike is a great communicator for
Yep.
our generation. His examples is dope. So that is what caught me and helped me because when you're young, it's one of the main things for me. I say for me, when I was young, growing up in the church, it was always hard for me to pay attention. I couldn't relate to whoever was talking,
Right.
right? And I remember growing up in all these Baptist churches, and everybody kept saying, well, "Yeah, I used to do crack. I used to do alcohol." Here I am, like 8, 9 years old. I'm like,
Crack.
"Crack? What?" And they be like, "Yeah, man, I didn't get my lights. I was like 35. 35." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm 9, so I got into a 35 to wilding out." Bro, that was my perspective on church for like a solid 15 years, bro. I
That is
was like,
hilarious.
so I don't gotta get for real till I'm like 30 or 40, right?
Ooh.
And then as I got older, I'm like, yeah, that's not. That was just them telling that, hey, it's God's grace on my life that I didn't get, didn't get for real about this until I got, until they got older or whatnot. But yeah, man, it's, we tie in God's voice to, to whoever whoever caught our eye to get saved, but we don't. We have to also focus on building our own relationship at the same time.
So I probably should have started with this deconstruction because I
Mm-hmm.
think there's two definitions to it. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think some people can deconstruct their faith to a point to where they have no faith. That's not what I'm going for
Mm-hmm.
at all. I'm talking about things that have cluttered and crowded our faith. Deconstructing and breaking away things that are trying to almost keep our faith from growing.
Mm-hmm.
The things been put into place, maybe mental things. But the more I think about it in a way, going for what you just said, like when you were a kid, you had this way of thinking of church. It's
Right.
almost like you had to deconstruct and break that down in order to understand
To have my own
the
understanding.
exactly
Yeah.
understand the gospel and then have salvation.
I think one of the things that people, especially young people, or just people joining the faith,
Yes.
joining the church, joining a new community, should watch out for is, and this goes along with putting people on a pedestal, and this goes also along with having your own relationship with Christ.
I got your question. I just got my brain. I got ADD. Like,
No, you not have
I'm with
ADD.
you.
bro.
I do have ADD.
Don't speak that over yourself,
I
man. You don't have
because I
ADD.
saw the camera and I was like, oh, ADD. Ah! I was like, what was I about to say? Because it's something good. But yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I feel like just in the same way, God can send somebody who's filled with the Spirit to do something good. We're talking about gifts. The pastor's not the only person who's filled with the Spirit.
Exactly.
It could be a door holder, a greeter, who was kind to you. I remember it was one person who I know was impactful in my life, and she was a lady who just handed me a book named The Cure. It's The Cure, Cure, and it was about the cure, from sin. And that book, it was a simple action, but it really taught me the foundations of grace,
Right.
not obtained by works. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it is the small stuff sometimes, but in the same breath, there's also, it could be people who try to lead you the wrong way, and that too. It's all about the heart. You got the parable of the sower of the seeds. You have this word that could be sowed on a certain quality of soil, which is our hearts. That's one thing of it. But then you have the people who are around you and what you're around too. So 100%, I really do feel like the people that you put in your ear can dictate that.
Put in your circle, yeah. One of my biggest things. I say, this time of year, holidays, New Year's, resolutions come up, stuff like that. I say for me personally, man, one of the things that I am starting to already pray about and like be vulnerable with God about is that I really, as I go into this season of focusing on my career and my walk, is I really want people around me that really believes in me, and that really can see the good in me even when I can't see it, and see my potential for who I can be, and don't try to hold me back,
Right.
per se. That's one of the biggest things, man. Is we can have 1,000 friends or know 1,000 people, but only like 2 or 3 really like, hey.
Yeah, I feel like that as you get older, that it becomes refined.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like God is a refining fire. So
Right.
if that spirit is in you, He's gonna refine some stuff in your heart. It's gonna be some hard stuff, like hard things. Like I was thinking about what is actually proof of the power of God. I think we could think power of God is always just positive stuff, which it is, but it also can be corrective things too.
Oh yeah.
So it's like this nice little balance to where we have people who encourage us, challenge us, but all for the better.
Right, all for the better.
Not in the way of beating you down to make it where you can't move or you're not growing, but not in a positivity where I'm pacifying to make it to where you don't move and grow either. So it's just like we talked about before, it's weight training.
Yeah.
There is a level of weight training I can go in the gym. I could put on 15 plates and just pump out and break my body, right? It's way too much weight. Or I can just only limit with just the bar.
Right.
It's not enough weight.
Right.
It's like you gotta have that nice little iron sharpen iron. Yeah, let's keep it simple.
Yeah, that's probably the
sharpens
most
iron.
basic.
There it is.
Yeah, that is.
That's what I hear. Is like, okay, is that what you're kind of going for? Is like the people you get around and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's just just keeping, just the prayer of God, just keeping the ones around you that are supposed to be around you.
I know I had to remove myself from people that I felt. It's hard to explain whenever you get conviction from the Holy Spirit to go a different direction, because you know what I'm saying, with being around people, specific kinds of people, because I had to remove myself from specific people,
Right.
and it was like no real reason.
But you just know you had to.
I just had to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they were going a different direction.
Yeah.
But I can't really give. I think it's too nuanced. It's too variable per situation. I can't give an answer to like, oh, why that was. It really depends on, I guess, your situation.
Timing, the situation, a lot of different variables that come into play.
Right.
I definitely understand.
Right.
I've been there.
For sure. Well, bro, we talked about quite a bit.
We did.
Yeah, I felt like this was better.
This is pretty. It's more productive.
I agree.
This
I
is more
agree.
productive.
James, this is better. It's a lot better. Thank you, James. Thanks, James, for all that you do, bro.
James is amazing.
Really
He's
is.
amazing.
He gets mad whenever I talk about how awesome he is.
I'm always talking about how awesome he is. Okay, he'll be all right.
I know.
He'll be okay. He's pretty awesome.
He's gonna edit this out too, probably.
That's fine.
Yeah, definitely.
It's okay. I'm gonna share my own little clip.
Exactly.
Make my own clip.
Exactly.
Make my own
Make
reel.
my own clip.
I'm
Like,
tagging
shout
him in
out
it.
James.
Shout out to James. Nothing he can do about it. I'm gonna tag him in
Yeah,
everything.
shout out Adrian in the background too. What's up, bro? What's up? But
Nah, man,
brother,
appreciate it,
this
bro.
has been Built by Fear. Thanks
it's
for
always a
coming
good talk,
in.
bro. Always a
Absolutely,
good
brother.
talk, man.
Be
Always.
safe. Peace.